We are back with our very special guest, the founder of the Hillsborough-based business, Tutum Leadership Coaching, Cara Nance. Good morning, Cara. How are you doing?
Good morning. Good morning. I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm doing okay. Not too bad. I'm really looking forward to a little bit of a break.
Yes.
I am feeling just waterlogged.
Yes.
I mean, where I live is waterlogged. My neighborhood is waterlogged. All the friends of mine that are still hanging around are waterlogged.
Yes.
I just need to dry out a little bit.
Yeah. And the rivers are speaking your song as well.
Yes,
they are
yes.
gushing.
So I'm pleased that we'll have at least a couple of days off before the next deluge.
Absolutely.
You are living in town.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
We met across the street at Yonder Bar.
Yes.
Hallelujah for Yonder Bar.
No kidding.
And won't it be nice in the springtime when we can all be outside at least, if not inside, certainly in the beginning of the warmer weather, and be hanging out and doing a little socializing. And so we got to talking. Mm-hmm. And you had your wonderful dog, Shotzi, with you.
Yes.
Who is a rescue?
She is, yeah. Peak Lab Rescues out of Apex, I believe.
Okay, there's so many great rescue organizations around here. Yeah. All of my animals are rescues also.
Right on.
Saving Grace was one of them.
Yes.
And Orange County Animal Shelter, the other one. Right. So spreading the love, as it were.
Yes.
And so how long have you had her?
She chose me March 2014. Yeah.
Wow. So
it's been
going on 7 years,
yes.
Your 7th anniversary.
Yeah. She's got quite the story, actually. She was fostered and then adopted out and was given back to her foster mom for nipping and jumping, also known as being a puppy. It was just one of those moments. So, but I saw her December 2013. I was like, that's it, like first love. And I wanted her since I was 10. I was 36 at the time. And then she got, off of the website. I was like, oh, bummer. All right. And then fast forward to February, she's got such a unique face where I was like, I think that's the same
She's
dog.
back.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Sure enough.
Well, there you go.
Yep.
A happy ending.
Yes. Yep.
So you have started this business. You have a long history in corporate training and leadership training and coaching. Your orientation is both toward businesses and business representatives, but also individuals. So why don't you walk us through the general overview of what you accomplish or try to accomplish when someone hires you to help them out with leadership coaching?
Sure. So at the core of the business practice, we use what's called the Clifton Strengths Assessment, and that was created by Don Clifton and really came to light with the team at Gallup. And so through that assessment, it takes about an hour. Really, what it highlights is there's 34 different themes of strengths, and it highlights what is innate to you already. So often when people take this assessment and they get their top 5 report, it is sometimes confusing because what it populates is those moments that are, it's innate to you, like your thumbprint. So it's like, well, of course I do that. It's those moments when somebody's like, wow, that's really awesome that you just did. You just organized the files that way. And you look at them like they're kind of nuts because it's like, well, of course I did. It's just who you are. So it cues into those pieces. And then when working with organizations, it's just making sure, the ultimate is ensuring the opportunity for everybody to take their strengths assessment and having a moment to really coach each individual through what that report is saying, how it applies to them. Because again, oftentimes it's quite confusing, like, well, of course, this is just what I do. Or I've also seen and experienced the other side of people actually getting kind of upset about what the report says, where they're like, this is not me at all. And they put it aside for like a month or two, pick it back up and like, holy smokes. Yes, it is, so just that perspective.
So you start off with this Clifton Strengths test, 34 points, and they get basically ranked from best to least, strongest to
like effort. Least
strong.
Right.
Then do you try and build up the weakest spots, or do you play off of the strengths and focus on those as a way to orient your approach.
Right, play off the strengths, because it's all about you can choose to try and improve those weaknesses, but the research shows there's going to be about 20% improvement versus when you focus on your strengths, the improvement level goes up to 80%, and it's just more efficient energy use. Like, do you want to be happy where you go day in and day out and feel like it's almost like breathing? It's just that easy, and you get paid for it. That's what we're shooting for.
So,
that's the objective.
You have to tailor then each of your clients to their particular strengths and weaknesses.
Yes. Yep.
So that means you have to deal with them all individually. You do some group trainings.
Right.
How does that work if everyone's coming in with different strengths and weaknesses?
Right. So again, it's carving out that time to make sure that each individual knows what they bring and also what they need. So it offers that language, which is really helpful. And then it's transitioning into ensuring that leadership, whoever is the leadership of that organization, is fully on board. Because honestly, if that's not happening, then it's helpful, but it's not going to be as impactful. And then it's getting the team together to really have those intentional conversations of, like, let's carve out time for, just really going around. And it's quite the process. It runs the gamut, honestly. It could be, it really becomes a question of what the organization wants to do with this opportunity. Do they really want to transform their culture to one that people want to be there? They want to, go that extra mile, because it doesn't feel like going that extra mile when they're using their strengths.
So it's really about establishing a dynamic in the workplace in particular.
Yes.
That is a successful one.
Right, and boosting morale, which I think really, when I start to talk with people, morale is already a need. And now introduce a world pandemic. Most of us are isolated, and that human connection, it's improved those moments as well, of just being able to say, I see you. And now we have improved language on this is really what you contribute, and we all benefit from those moments.
I want to get back to that in a minute, how the model for you has shifted with the pandemic, because there are different things in play as far as relationships between bosses and underlings and so on.
Sure.
But I wonder, leadership seems to me anyway to be at a premium these days. Maybe always has been. And of course, there are people who are identified as leaders who have very few leadership skills.
Absolutely.
Political leadership, some would say, is an oxymoron. So
Right.
I wonder, when you have someone who's in a position of authority as opposed to leadership, can you teach leadership to someone who is really more authoritarian or has grown up in a culture where it's, eat or be eaten, dog eat dog, or, push everyone out of the way so you can get to the top?
Right. My belief system is yes, when they're open to it, right? When they've had that moment of like, whoa, something needs to change. And then and that's where someone like myself comes in to hold that mirror up for that self-reflection and deeper self-awareness. Like, yeah, it does. And it begins with you, because the only true change that can happen is with yourself. You can't change this. Like, I hear that your, as you say, underling, as your fellow employees who you manage, they're not doing what you want to do. You got to check in with you. What does it say about you? Because that's truly at the heart of leadership, in my personal opinion.
So how do people find you? You've been in business officially for not all that long, since October of last year. You sort of put this together, coming out of your previous experience as a corporate training consultant and founder of Nance Construction Schools. Is that still a going concern?
It is morphing. It is very much a seed that planted and is just, soaking up the nutrients from the soil. I've got a couple ideas of collaborating with fellow Orange County friends on that one.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
You've done a lot of work with the schools
Yeah.
and dealt with kids who need interventions. So a lot of that is relevant to what you're doing here. But trying to start a business like this in October 2020, I guess for one thing, you don't have to make those adjustments from the way it was pre-pandemic to the way it is now, because everyone's looking at those issues the same way. It's like, well, we have all this online and work from home stuff. There are still people coming into the workplace, and you have some discomforts there because everyone has their own personal comfort levels with this. But how have you approached trying to build this business in the heat of the pandemic?
Right. So it's a lot of just watching my fellow friends who are entrepreneurs and really tapping into, all right, social media, really pushing on my comfort zone to just get my voice out there, because I know from experience, working almost 20 years public ed, then switching to corporate ed, and now with the leadership business, that when I have opportunities like this to connect with fellow humans, which I think is a no-brainer. I think this is how we as humans work, is that when we have that opportunity to connect, we start to build relationship. And that is my key approach, is just get my face out there, get these conversations going so that people get to know me. And I have full faith that when that momentum keeps going and get my name out there, people are going to start to tune in like, oh, what you said that time. Can we talk more about that? Absolutely. So that's where the masterminds come in that we offer.
That's one of your classes, or
yes.
Yes, you have about 4 of them listed on your website. By the way, Tutum, Tutum, leadershipcoaching.com.
Yes.
TutumLeadershipCoaching.com is your website. You can find out a lot more about what Cara offers there. There are at least 4 classes listed on the website, but yes, continue. Sorry.
No, that's great. No, I appreciate the plug. So the masterminds that we're really focused on right now, I'm starting to think about, honestly, like college courses. So you've got the StrengthsFinder 2.0, which is that like 100-level class. So for our friends out there who are thinking like, what in the world is Clifton Strengths and what is this lady talking about? That would be a great mastermind for you, where you get these core principles, a core understanding of what these themes are and how it's innate to you and what your report even means. It also comes with a private coaching session with me to make sense of it a bit more. And then we move on to the next level, which is the strengths-based leadership mastermind. And for just throwing it out there, I believe that leadership is within all of us. Whether you've got the title or not, it's to me, that's not the question. It's, do you feel this urge to share something with somebody and really just put it out there? To me, that's leadership.
Interesting. Yes.
Yeah,
I would have to reorient my definition of leadership, but that I'm willing to listen to that.
All right.
I see a lot of followers out there and not a lot of leaders. I also see a lot of people who style themselves as leaders, who maybe are not actually exercising leadership in the way that I understand it.
Sure.
And to that point, there's a lot of folks who are styling themselves as leadership coaches or life coaches. Some of the same principles involved. A lot of folks out there plugging themselves and trying to find their way economically to do this. How do you separate yourself from the pack? Because when someone just Googles, I imagine, leadership coaching, there's a million hits.
Right.
I mean, word of mouth, of course, is important.
Yeah, it's a great question.
And you do have some really nice testimonials.
Thank you.
On your website that really sort of direct people to what you do and how you can accomplish things.
Right.
But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, honestly, at the core of it, it may sound cheesy, and that's all right, because that's who I am. It's being myself. So, and again, StrengthsFinder, the Clifton Strengths Report really helps me name that much clearer now at the age of 43, that I was able to even 5-10 years ago. My first experience with it was January 2009 in grad school at UMass Amherst. I went to school for social justice education, so I have a master's in.
Well, my mom and dad went to UMass
Hey,
Amherst.
there you go. Go UMass.
Go Minutemen.
Hey-o. Dr. J. So, and no offense to those who I took it with, in that moment, it just felt like another personality test. Like, we took the assessment, I got the report, and then we moved on. So fast forward to my time at Wake County Central Office, Wake County Public Schools Central Office, working with the intervention team, and shout out to the leadership at the time. Dr. Chillery had us go through a full day retreat, having our assessment, and then making sense of it. So I was able to name empathy, my top. So my top 5 are empathy, and it's hilarious because the acronym is my name, which I didn't realize until just recently taking the Gallup course. So it's empathy, communication, achiever, relator, and arranger. And so it gave me language. So to your question of how do you separate yourself, it's that deeper self-awareness, and the journey that I've been on has brought me here. So that empathy piece, for example, I'm able to name what's going on in the room. I walk in it. What's been cool about my experience, especially with the corporate, where I was 100% remote, and all of my work the almost last 2 years was online, like the world that we all live in now was mine already. And it was really powerful to realize, this gift that I have called this empathy strength, it works in the online environment too, almost even better, because we don't have all this shuffling. I'm able to really zero in and name what's going on, and people are, wow, how did you know that? It's just part of who I am. So
there's a whole lot of anxiety and other issues around the shift from the in-person workplace to the online workplace.
Yes.
And getting people to help their teams, their employees, their business partners navigate this. Everyone's burned out on Zoom and Teams.
Right.
And not only that, it's a very different dynamic. It's very difficult to do it successfully because we don't have any experience doing it. Right. So we try and apply the same principles to that experience, that remote experience that we do to the in-person experience, and it doesn't always work. Right. How do you help people on a practical level get better at interacting in this environment?
On a practical level, really fine-tuning and getting good at, so for fellow practitioners out there, push yourself and learn about the breakout room options that y'all have in your, whichever, Zoom, meetups, what's the other one? Teams, Microsoft Teams, who just added a breakout option. So that to create those more intimate spaces, that smaller group space, really, it changes the dynamic in such a positive way and so quickly. It's really powerful. So for fellow practitioners out there, just try it once. I know it's pushing your comfort zone most likely. What if it doesn't work? What if it doesn't? It's okay. Just name it. Just be a human. Throughout my career, I've been the one to say, just be a human. And people chuckle. It's and we all understand what I'm saying when I say, it's okay. Have some self-grace. Push it. And you'll find that when it does work, because eventually it will, try it out. If it flops, try it again. Everybody understands when we're trying something new, and you'll get kudo points for trying something new, right? Bravery points. And when it does work, it's powerful to see everybody come back. Often we'll hear, there was never enough time. That was so awesome. Can we do that again? And so I do that in all my masterminds. I started to do it when we have I also host a meetup group called Clifton and Coffee. It's really just more like a chat session, like we're having. Let's just talk about Clifton and anything else that comes to mind, and it's powerful to set up those breakout rooms, and people from all over the world are calling in on those calls, and it's just cool to create little pockets of community that way too.
Cara Nance, founder and head honcho, CEO, executive director, whatever, all the titles.
All the things.
Of Tutum Leadership Coaching. One last question. I think people or businesses, small businesses or companies or whatever, often come to look for services like yours in crisis. So there's a problem that needs to be fixed. There's a dynamic that's dysfunctional. Something's gone wrong. There are others that are more proactive and wanting to create and maintain and fine-tune a positive environment, but very often it's a more negative thing. Do you deal with those two differently? Have you had both of those, or are most people coming to you one way or the other?
So far, it's been preventative. It's more crisis, honestly, as part of a team that I've been on so far. So I've witnessed the crisis approach for sure, and it's for me, the approach is the same outside of the added layer. What the crisis is like, all right, let's take a pause to breathe and collect ourselves, get some perspective, and then move forward with the same strategy.
Sometimes it's easier, though, if there's some kind of crisis situation or broken interactions, that you can zero right in on what it is that you're having to address.
Right.
Whereas otherwise, it's just kind of a broad palette that you can just sort of try and assess, but apply those lessons to.
Right. And it also, from whose perspective, right? So maybe from leadership's perspective, it is easy breezy. However, have we carved out space to ask those questions of everybody who's a part of this? And it's pretty powerful what comes from those moments as well. It's like, wow, I had no idea that was going on. So, yeah.
Cara Nance, TutumLeadershipCoaching.com, TUTUM. And her dog Shotzi joining us, very well-mannered.
Yes. She has enjoyed herself thoroughly.
One of my dogs was given up and almost executed because of his aggressive behavior. He is the sweetest, most gentle animal. Who knows?
Yes.
I think he was abused as a child.
Yeah.
Maybe by the person who gave him up. I don't know, but
they all have their story for sure.
Yeah. Anyway,
awesome.
Thanks for coming in and joining us.
Thank you, Bob. Do you mind real quick that you do
do a shout out.
Yes, quick shout out to my friend Stacy. Happy birthday, friend. You are awesome, and I hope it's the best day ever.
Happy birthday, Stacy, from all of us at WHUP
Hey-o.
and Cara Nance. Good luck with everything. Keep us posted,
you,
and we will look forward to tipping one and talking baseball. You're a Cubs fan.
Absolutely. I am, for better or for worse. Yes, I was raised in Chicago, so yes.
There you go.
Yeah, shout out to the family, all the Cubs Nation out there. So go Cubs, go. All right, thank you so much, Bob. Appreciate you.